Welcome back. Welcome back. It's the Plowboy podcast coming at you once again. Thanking everybody for tuning in. Coming at y'all for episode 18. Right back at it with some interesting topics. We got Beats in the building.
Black people in the United States have come too far to act like the little minuscule stuff that is still happening can in any kind of way compare to what used to actually happen to black people on a day-to-day basis.
We got that diggy doc, y'all.
Nothing to do with race. It's fear. They fear the black man, bro. That's common sense. They fear us. They come in with their guns drawn, bro, because they see the shit that happens. They see, on social media. So they're gonna come with their guns cocked.
And K-Dog.
I believe that racism is a learned behavior. It's not just something that just some kid just picks up on.
And I'm G Meezy. The next topic we're going to talk about is race relations. Race relations right now in America.
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, the spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots, we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be
So
ours.
I said this back after Obama's administration. Trump was elected, and we all kind of knew that Trump was bringing in an element of a Make America Great Again type of movement. And I think there was a change culturally in America as people began to have a divide more so. I never saw the country more unified and together during the administration of Obama. You can say what you want about his policies and how he handled his administration, what he did for who or did not do for who, but it was a unified time in America. And I found that a lot of that changed with the last administration. Now, we don't want to get too political in it, but I'm using that example to say this. The time we in now, what do you think about the race relations in America? Are they going in the right direction, or are we going backwards? We all know racism exists, and we all know it's exists in the past. Some things are not as prevalent as they were before, and some things are hidden now and show their ugly face in certain scenarios, certain instances. So here's the question. We have two incidents that we want to feature. Tonight we're going to talk about a high school in Louisiana where a young kid approached a black male, threw cotton balls on him while he was eating his lunch, and began to whip him in the middle of the cafeteria with a belt. Somebody videotaped it, and it went viral.
New tonight, an overt display of racism is lighting up social media feeds in Terrebonne Parish. It involves a white student throwing what appears to be cotton at a black student and slapping him with what looks like a belt. Well, tonight, both parents and alumni at Vanderbilt Catholic High School are outraged. Devin Bartolotta has more from Homa.
The Archdiocese says the incident happened here on Wednesday. By Thursday, there was a sheriff's office investigation and a video seen parish-wide. You can see here a white student walks up behind a black student at lunch, throws a handful of cotton balls onto the table and begins to slap him with a belt. Then the black student pushes. This all happened at Vanderbilt Catholic High School in Houma Wednesday afternoon. One alumni is hoping this video is where it will stop, and educators at Vanderbilt will use this as a moment to teach.
So this incident happened, and the kid ended up getting arrested later on down the road. But this was obviously a racial incident. We're going to also talk about an incident that took place recently in Georgia. There was a director, a lot of you may be familiar with the movie he directed, Black Panther. The guy was going into the bank to withdraw a large sum of money, $10,000 cash out there. While going into the bank, he wanted to be discreet. He didn't want people to know his identity as far as patrons in the bank. He wanted to be as discreet as possible. So he wrote a note stating, can you not count the money at the register? Can you just bring my cash out that I'm withdrawing? Something along those lines. Well, the note was passed along with his license and his withdrawal slip. Also, debit card, I believe, to prove his identity. And the bank teller, who was a black lady, deemed that this man was trying to rob the bank. Contacted the authorities, said that, we need some help here. This man is trying to rob the bank. Policemen showed up with guns drawn. They felt like, this man was possibly robbing the bank by what he did, or what they were told he did.
Hey, sir. Come here, man. Come this way. Put your hand behind your back. No, got it. You got any weapons with you? No, sir. What's going on, my man? Trying to pull money on my arm. You said what? Yeah, what's up? This your phone? Yeah, sure.
Every time I ask him like a question, he's like, look at the note.
She called 911 despite Coogler presenting his debit card and ID.
So I said, do you have your ID? He did give me his ID. It was a California ID. But my stomach started turning. I'm like, okay, it just seems odd because you're making a withdrawal, but you hand me a note on the back of a deposit slip. And you keep telling me, look at the note, but you don't want to talk to me. So I'm already okay, just acting really it's just weird.
Coogler, along with two people waiting for him in the parking lot, briefly detained. He explained to police he was trying to avoid drawing attention when requesting such a large sum of money for his safety.
I don't write down on the note how much I went out, and then I don't went and ran through the money counter right there at the desk. The whole bank ends up looking at me.
Tonight, social media erupting in frustration. A tweet from Bernice King reading, I just don't think so many understand or are even trying to understand the trauma he was subjected to. Bank of America says it deeply regrets that this incident occurred. It never should have happened, and we have apologized to Mr. Coogler. Police, too, calling the incident a mistake by Bank of America, acknowledging Mr. Coogler was never in the wrong. Officers uncuffing the Wakanda legend roughly 15 minutes after talking with him.
Because of the seriousness of the call, we don't just come out, and unfortunately in a situation like that, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. We detain and then we ask questions later. I believe the teller saying that someone slipped a note, basically made it appear as if the bank was being robbed by somebody, a prescription and things like that. That's when we came out and we detained everybody, and I explained to him. Unfortunately in those situations, we take an abundance of caution. We don't know what's going on. That's why you were detained.
So these two instances, obviously this man wasn't trying to rob the bank, but he did write a note. It caused a little confusion in the bank, and it caused the guns to be drawn and him to be handcuffed. So we feature in these two incidents, talk about these two incidents. One on a scale of juveniles, young adolescent kids behaving in that way. One, on the scale of blacks behaving in a way to think other blacks may be a threat to them or a threat to their place of employment. This was a black lady that called the police on this black man. So, two questions. Is race relations today going in a positive direction? Or is it remaining the same as it's always has been? Or is it getting worse? And what do you think about these two incidents? The incident that happened in Louisiana school and the incident that happened at the Georgia bank. Is that anybody's fault per se? Or is just something that occurs with kids bullying, or something that just occurs with bank tellers doing their job and being extra cautious? What's your thoughts on it, man? I'm gonna start with you, Copy.
Well, there was this skit on the Dave Chappelle show where he was like, it was him, you know, Charlie Murphy, Donnell Rollins, and the moral of the story was, is it racist or was it something you did? So it was like, they dressed up like monsters. And it was kind of like the allegory of, are people scared of you because you're a monster, or are you being a monster and scaring people? So like Dave Chappelle and Donnell Rollins, they just did regular stuff, and they was being judged because they, you know, it was like a mummy and a werewolf. Charlie Murphy was like Frankenstein, but he's like stomping around like Frankenstein, knocking stuff over. So, I mean, I said that to say this. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. So the situation in Atlanta, that's not race relations. That's something between two black people. So he making himself conspicuous, trying to be, what did he say? Trying to be discreet. You don't dictate to the bank teller how she do her job. She's a professional bank teller. That's what she does for a living. So if you wanted privacy, you should have asked for, like, let me speak to the manager. I need to take out a large withdrawal, which he didn't take out that large of a withdrawal. But the same reason why he was trying to be discreet is the same reason why she thought he was robbing the bank. People steal. And when they steal, they do things in a like in an awkward manner. I go to the bank, you know, I don't know, a couple of times a month for whatever reason to take money, put money in. You go up, you fill it out, and you hand it to the teller. You don't add to it or try to tell them to specifically do something. That's not how it's done. And in this era, and the lady was pregnant. In this era of the world right now, the post-COVID, you know what I'm saying, world, a lot of people are like highly more stressed than what they normally would be. So for me, I feel like that's not about racism. That's not about race relations. That's about him being weird and his own reason for how he was acting like that is her same reason. People steal. So he didn't want people to know. He was like, be discreet. I just want to be discreet. Don't tell everybody. I honestly feel like it was a publicity stunt. They got the Black Panther movie coming out. He directing it. He got his name, and I'm saying the Black Panther movie been pushed back because of COVID. So he's trying to keep his name in the news. His name is in the news. Like they say, our publicity is good publicity. But I think he thought it was going to be a white teller and he was going to get that same reaction. And I believe if it would have been a white teller, they wouldn't have said nothing because they would have been scared to say, oh, a black man trying to rob the bank. That actually is race relations, and that's showing what actually would happen because the dude got arrested. He got arrested and he got charged with a hate crime. Me personally, in my opinion, I think he was just a stupid kid playing a prank, thinking he's funny, and he's not. You know what I'm saying? But you gonna learn. You gonna see. Black people in the United States have come too far to act like the little minuscule stuff that is still happening can in any kind of way compare to what used to actually happen to black people on a day-to-day basis just because you was a black person. That's why I hate when people try to compare the NFL or whatever it is, the racism of today to slavery or even anything before civil rights or Jim Crow. Because there's no comparison at all to where you literally could not walk into the building in the front door. We would never experience nothing like that in our lifetime. Our children won't, our grandchildren. So it's like, when you go in there and you're an affluent person, he has money. He's a Hollywood director. He's walking into the bank He knows better. It's like you go in there, you just fill out the form, hand it to the teller, they hand you your money. If you don't want to go that normal route, say, okay, can I speak to a manager? I want to take a large withdrawal. I'm Ryan Coogler, let them do it. And then, you go about your day the normal way. With the young kids in the school and they being punished, the guys being punished, it's like and I think it's kind of like one of those things where you've been told something over and over again to where you believe it. Today is the best time, you know what I'm saying, as far as race relations or racism is concerned, out of human history. So it's like, is it still there? Does it still exist? Yes, of course it does. It's a lot of resentment from the past. It's people that feel a certain way because of what has happened. And then there's people who still feel the old way. It's all, as long as you have two different people, you're gonna have two different perspectives. And though, unfortunately, it's gonna be some racist people in the world. But I think those people are far less powerful than what they used to be, and there are far fewer of those people. So I think it's just important to remember that, and actually remember the past and see how far we've come. And when it actually does happen, like with the school incident, make sure they punished and they understand why they being punished and why it's not a game and it's not funny. And when some situations like that we actually look and see, okay, well, why is he trying to do it in a discreet way? What is he scared of? Why he's scared to take the money out? Why he's scared to do it the regular way? Why is she afraid that he's robbing the bank? Because, you know what I mean? Those are, like, we have to pay attention to what's real and what's really actually going on.
Man, two different incidents and two different outcomes. Totally, man. Good points, though. You brought up, like you say, your idea is race relations is better than they were in the past. Totally agree. And as far as the incident in the bank, you feel like that was just a lady doing her job because of the red flags that was brought up by the note, and the incidents at school was just a racist part of someone, that isolated incident. That's not a group thing that's going on. It's just you have individuals that are, and individuals that on both ends that aren't. So I'm gonna redirect your question, and before I go to UK, I'm gonna redirect for a quick minute. Give me a quick add-on to this. Is it possible to be racist against your own kind? Can you mentally be at a place where you see your own culture and you think less of them?
Well, for me, okay, so my definition of racism is when you judge somebody based on their race. If you discriminate or you judge people based on their race, that's racist. Whether you a girl and you well, I like black guys, or black dudes, all black dudes can run and jump high. Even if it's a positive stereotype, that's still a racial stereotype. That's still racist. So as far as I think, I don't believe you can be racist. You can't be racist against your own kind, because you'll have to be racist against yourself. If you judge the whole race, then you'll judge yourself the same way, and they don't. They're prejudiced. They feel like, oh, because you a certain type of black, like if you like they say, like Carlton, what they used to call, what's his name? Used to do sports, Brian Gumble. You know what I mean? Like that type, like when they are like, Philip Banks from the Fresh Prince, where you like, oh, I'm proper, prim and proper, but then you got ghetto, you know what I mean? That type. Or if you believe, like they say Cajun people, like they slow backwoods Southern people, if you judge based on a certain type, like if you judge on the sex, you're sexist. If you judge on the race, you're racist. So it's like you're not judging based on that person's race, you judge based on that person's, I'll say, outward appearance, because that's what I feel like she did. She judged him. She saw him, he had a hat on, he had a mask on, he's acting kind of weird and shifty. So she judged him. I don't think it was because of the race, because I believe if it would have been a white guy doing the same thing, acting weird, but on that same token, you can steal somebody's wife, identity theft, this and that. And I feel like it was an overreaction, because I do believe she was pregnant. So I believe it was. I don't think she was necessarily racist against him. I do believe that she judged him. She prejudged him. And it's like, I don't think she believed he would actually come into that bank. Because she works at that bank every day. And like famous movie directors don't come in this bank, not on a regular basis. So I feel like it was gonna be an awkward situation for her either way. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like she overthought it, overreacted. But I think that have less to do with the race than like his appearance, so to say. Like his appearance, the way he was dressed. So for the situation at the school, that's racist because that's interracial. That's, a white kid and a black kid. And the stereotype, the trope, oh, you pick cotton, this and that. And it's like, you don't even understand, like the cotton gin was invented, literally, because it's like, it's just, that whole situation is kind of mind-boggling that still today. As all of the strides that black people have made throughout the years, centuries, to try to belittle down black ball, you pick cotton. And, just the multitude of successful black people, famous ones, just regular people that, from where they were, can relate themselves to like the children of Israel, how they came out of bondage from Egypt, but they had to walk through the desert for 40 years. You know what I'm saying? It's that is the American dream. It's an incredible story, but it's like, I don't know. For me, it's almost like low self-esteem because you have all of these successful people and to feel like anybody, they follow me in the story. Or you doing something wrong, I understand the inconvenience of it, but we should be so grateful for the strides that we have made to this point. You know what I mean? Like how far we have come, and instead of focusing on that and they fought. Now, when it's a serious situation like with a police shooting or something like that, or like with Ahmaud Arbery, then yes, that's obviously a tragedy. But I wouldn't even say for the most part, in a lot of circumstances, what I see is people just not being able to maintain, and a lot of times a situation that they created for their own self. Like with him. And then this another thing that a lot of people say when they were talking about with the police shootings. Well, just comply. Just comply with the police. You know what I mean? And it's not to say, well, just do what they say, just be obedient, but just behave normally. You know what I mean? In order for black people to get to where they are today, they had to toe a tight line. You had to be on point. You had to be like top of the class, number one, or they wasn't gonna let you make it. And that's how you succeed in life. That is just a good way to be. You do your best, you present yourself the best. But in America, we don't care. People go to the store in their pajamas, sag our pants, drawers hanging, you know what I'm saying? So it's like what black people had to live up to attain what they did. I kind of feel like the need is not there no more. Like with the KKK used to just come to your door. And it really wasn't nothing you could do about it. That threat is not there. So I feel like some people in their mind, they soup it up and amp it up to the level, and it don't compare at all. And then the actual dangers that we face is not being addressed like people who actually rob banks. You know what I mean? Because people are so focused on the past. Like, well, in the past, this was happening. Well, in the present, this was happening. And it's like, we got to address that. Look at the real problem of what's going on. The poverty, the fatherless homes, things like that, drug abuse, degradation, just no investment, no infrastructure, not being able to go to the grocery store and get something to eat. Those are the real problems. But I kind of feel like it's a defense mechanism where you look at something else to avoid looking at the real problem. And I feel like, again, I still feel like this might have been a publicity stunt for him. Movie got pushed back. I need to do something, because this really not something that this is totally out of the norm. It's like, what is the deal with the note? To me, really, that is my main question. It's like, why are you writing a note? Like, be discreet. You be discreet. You know what I mean? If you want to discreetly get money out of the bank, discreetly get the money. You know what I mean? Give her the draw slip, get the money, put it in an envelope, put it in your bag, and leave. You are drawing attention to yourself, and then But I mean, like I said, all publicity is good publicity. I don't want to speculate and say that is what he's doing, but it seems like something, Hollywood, how they operate. But yeah, man, like for me, it's a difference between prejudice and racism. And I feel like she did judge him based on his outward appearance. and then the way he was acting, and COVID, and she was pregnant. I feel like there was a lot of factors with that, but definitely the true racism, like that kid with that's true racism, because it's like the story of your race and the story of my race, and it's like you did this, but it was a war fought after that. That's the main thing I don't get. It's like a whole war was fought to say no, this is not right. This is not the way you treat. This is like this. The way you treating this man is not the way it's gonna be. And then we fought another war. We didn't fight with guns, but we fought it with pickets and marches, and won that war too. You know what I mean? So it's like to me, anybody that fly a Confederate flag, you a traitor, because it was the United States of America and the Confederate States of America. So if you fly a Confederate flag, you basically flying an enemy flag. It really talking about legislation, they should make that a law, that if you fly enemy, that Confederate flag is treason, because the Confederate States basically left, the United States to form a separate country of enemy combatants. So
yeah, they did ban the for a while there. Mississippi was using the Confederate flag as their state flag.
State flag, what I'm saying.
And also Ole Miss used to use it as their school flag. Ole Miss. I think they've stopped. They've changed that. I think they banned it at NASCAR events. So I mean, there's steps being taken, and I totally understand your point where you talked about how far we've come. That's a good point, man. So K-Dog, we're gonna go to you, man. You got a opinion about those two incidents we featuring. The incidents, let me refresh that. We featuring the incident that happened in Louisiana High School between the kid that threw the cotton on the kid and started whipping him, and also talk about the incident that happened in the bank. Are those two incidents both racism? Was one more extreme, or like Khabib put, was one just being prejudiced? The incident in the bank, prejudging an individual by the circumstances or by the way they looked. The incident, not racism at all. Talk about those two incidents. I think we all in agreement about the incident that happened in the high school. But just tell me what you think about that and race relations today. Are they in a good place, or are they going backwards?
Incident that took place at the school is definitely racist driven. It's got some serious racism behind it. I believe that racism is a learned behavior. It's not just something that just some kid just picks up on one day out of the blue just as a joke, I think that he left home that day with the intentions of doing just what he did, I mean, what kid at a school just carries cotton balls, and then goes to lunch with cotton balls in their pockets? This was planned out, I can remember back when I was in elementary school, man. Me and the girl was a white female, and we were cool. We were friends, I can remember her dad came to lunch with her one day, and he told me something about wanting to cut me with a knife or something. And I remember going home and telling my parents about it, and them making a deal out of it. It was a big deal to them. It was a big deal to me because it scared me, and that's why I went home and told my parents. But me and the girl ended up, we stayed friends. This was in elementary school. I might have been like 3rd or 4th grade. And I mean, we stayed friends throughout high school. But I could always remember what happened when that, when that was told to me. As far as how serious of a form of racism is it? Yeah, like Khabib said, man, we've come a long ways, as a people, African Americans, we've come a long ways. We don't have to worry about going to the back door to get into places anymore. We don't have to worry about whether or not we're going to be lynched for talking to a white female or anything like that, you know? Those times have come and they're gone, you know, as far as what I believe and what I hope stays true, you know? People like our grandparents lived through some of those times, you know? They were the waymakers. They were the pavers for what has evolutionized the world today. So, I mean, what happened at that school is definitely a form of racism. It was definitely something that was planned out. It was definitely something that I don't think he just did for TikTok views, as the young kids put it today. You know, oh, well, I did it just for some TikTok views, or I did it just because I wanted to have people like my status. You know, I mean, he did it because that's the way I think he felt. You know, as far as the situation with the bank, man, that goes back to training. We've all had jobs, all of us, from doc on down. I worked corrections for a long time. Didn't work under my Uncle Doc, but I know how I was trained. I know in different situations, when I went through the academy, things that were taught to me to look for a situation that may be about to happen. So that girl's training was, if you receive a note at any time that says, give me the money, report it. And that's the training she went through, you know? It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She followed her training. I think the director made a poor choice in his action, in the way that he went about wanting to get his own money. I don't think he thought it out fully, that this could be the result, that this female could take this the wrong way. You know, she followed, in my opinion, followed the way she was trained. She did what she was taught to do by the bank, by her administration, by her higher ups, by the people who trained her, and she followed her training the way that she was supposed to. Is it right that it happened the way it did? I can't make that determination, man. All I can say is that, I mean, I've had jobs before where I was taught, if you see this, then this may be the next step. So go into action before it gets there. No, all of us. No, we've all had jobs. Gee, you've worked with youth before. I know that in some of your training, you were taught what to look for. Beast, you worked with jobs before where maybe you were driving an 18-wheeler and you had a warning light that went off that may have said your engine was about to overheat or something. You knew what to do in order to avoid damages to your engine, or in order to avoid the next thing that could have happened. DOC, same thing with you working corrections, as long as you did, and even driving trucks that you do now. You know, there's all warning signs that we have before something takes place. I think she acted upon her training, acted upon what she suspected could happen next, and she followed what she interpreted as a bad situation, and she didn't want it to get to the point of lockdown. This guy is robbing the bank. He's gonna have hostages and everything else. She thought 5 minutes ahead. She thought 10 minutes ahead of what could have been a bad situation. As far as lifetime, or as far as what can happen next, I think it said that she was going to be terminated, and I think the only reason why if she's going to be terminated, is because it got national attention. You know, this bank now is under scrutiny for doing what I think any bank across America would have done in that said situation.
do you think race relations are in a better place today?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Race relations are definitely in a better place. I kind of mentioned that going off of what Kabis talked about. We have come so far as a people. We don't have to worry about some of the same things our grandparents had to worry about. Is there still racism alive in 2022? Indeed, man. I mean, something that's going to always be alive, because racism is human. It's a human nature act. You can't control what the next human being may be doing or may be thinking. But definitely, man, racism is it's so much better now than what it was 50 years ago. And we can go back, I'll say 20 years ago, we've evolved, I pray to God, man, that it stays the way it is. Because when we are all God's children, we all are one people, the way that racism evolved, or the way that different people started being labeled as different nationalities. And now that's not nothing that came from God, in my opinion. That's just that's people looking at it and saying, well, that person comes from an area where their skin is darker. The region of the world where they come from, their skin is darker. So that's a Black American, or that's an African American. They come from a certain area, But I don't think that was ever in God's plan to have different people, different races. Now, of course, we can go back and think about the Canaanites and the different people or different families that are mentioned in the Bible, but it's not race related. It might have been the Sadducees and different things like that, but it was never in the Bible where it says Black or white or Native American, Chinese, Mexican. I just think that came from man.
Thank you for your points, man. Appreciate your input. K-Dog and Kabis deep on that topic, man. Hey, race relations today. Race relations today. If you bring up Egypt, you know he going long.
Damn, he go hard on it, bro.
You know he going long, man.
I'm thinking right long.
Man, kept it short.
The long drive, man. Doc say he been on a long drive, man.
I've been on that road all day, man. I've been driving since 7 o'clock this morning.
Let me refresh your memory, man. I sent y'all 2 videos. One of them about the incident that happened at Louisiana High School. Right. The other incident was the incident at the bank in Georgia. So I want you to touch on race relations today as it relates to those 2 incidents. Do you think that race relations is in a better place? We don't have to go back. We know it's in a better place than it was when we were slaves. Right. Yeah. We know it's in a better place than it was when it was Jim Crow. I'm talking about race relations as it relates to how it's evolved to when over the course of your life. Are we in a better place today? Are we in a better place? Is it going in the right direction? Is it staying the same? Or is it going in the opposite direction? Is it going backwards right now? Let me know. These 2 incidents that took place, man. I brought up earlier this kid that did this incident at the high school. He was arrested. And I think the repercussions came because the video went viral, and the backlash that this school was receiving, it caused that young man to be arrested. And as far as the incident with the bank, I don't know. Kay said that the lady was supposed to be fired, or I don't know that for sure. But I do know that the bank apologized for the incident.
Oh my God. They fired a pregnant woman. She pregnant.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that.
She Black.
I don't know that.
They fired a Black pregnant woman.
Kay said that he heard that, so I might have to do some research on that. I don't know if that woman was fired or not. But what do you think about those 2 incidents? What was one racist? Was one not? Should that incident be looked at as a incident where she was just performing her job. He brought up these red flags. If that would have been a white man, do you think that this situation would have occurred the way it occurred, with guns drawn, him being handcuffed behind, passing a note saying, I would like my withdrawal being done with discreet? And the situation with the kid in Louisiana high school, at the new generation that's coming up, the race relations is going in the right direction. Let me know what you think.
Since Trump was in office, it's going backwards. Now you're looking at they're trying to take away the right to vote, and they're trying to take away critical race theory in schools. They're trying to do away with a lot. We actually going backwards. We was headed in the right path, but if you let things just keep going like it is, if that clown get back in office in 2024, you can best believe we're gonna be back to the 50s and the 40s. And y'all can talk all that crap y'all want to, bro. We headed backwards. Now let's go to Atlanta, Georgia. That incident. You're talking about Atlanta, Georgia, man. You're talking about all black. You're talking about Chocolate City. So you cannot say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, the bank teller was black. I've been to Atlanta thousands of times, bro. Every time you go say, let me talk to the manager, guess who's coming downstairs? Some Shanae or some Keisha. Keisha owns that building. Some Keisha is the manager. You got a black police officer, you got a black police chief, you got a black mayor. And I think this whole incident, that director, he was just being extra, man. He went to the bank to be extra. He gonna write a note. He broke all protocols going to a bank. First of all, he was taking out 10 grand, which is a red flag. So that's common sense. And I think by that, he knew that. So like Khabib said earlier, I think it's sort of a skit to get his name back in rotation. Sort of like Jesse Smollett, the only black man to do time for whipping his own ass. I think I saw a little post on Facebook about that. But I think he was kind of bringing some attention to himself. Now, the incident in Louisiana at Vanderbilt High School, which y'all, you went to, G, and Casey went to, y'all paid what, about $30,000 a year to go to that school? That's a racial incident. I mean, he brought cotton balls, and the incident, it would be still talked about on the news, And I think I say the black parent was already talking about forgiving. So, gonna forgive. We got to move on as a community and all, And, that's not me, bro. If that be my son or one of y'all got hit with a whip and throw a cotton ball thrown, how y'all want to handle it? First thing I'm going to do is call y'all mama and say, how y'all want to handle this? And then we'll go from there. But, and that's all that brave shit. That's all that Donald Trump and the people that elected Donald Trump, the people that's, the other politicians that's supporting Trump, they got 8 years of Obama. You never heard all that cocky. They done got cocky. Trump brought out the worst in people, and I hope they turn around and they can see themselves in the mirror and see where they headed. Like those 4 guys that got to do life in prison behind Ahmaud Arbery in Florida. I bet they're regretting that incident. Now they locked up the rest of their life. Man, people better wake up, man. Don't let Trump get your head split, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got to think, man. I know sometimes, I get treated, I might get looked at the wrong way when I walk. Somebody might follow me around in the store, and it pisses me off. But I also got, I had black people. Like we talked about that incident earlier with the females. Guess what? All those females was black that try to bring me down. So yes, black can be prejudiced, but I don't think it's a prejudice. I think it's like a jealousy, or like how they call it now, ops. They hate the fact that you got power, so they're gonna try to bring you down. I think that's more or less that's the deal with that situation. No, I don't think the bank teller was trying to bring this director. I don't think she really knew who he was. I think she just got scared and just said, you know what, I'm gonna just be on the safe side. Because think about if you had a check cashing business. One of y'all had a check cashing business. Somebody come in there with a mask on, with a note, acting all suspicious and doing that. First thing you're gonna do, black or white, you're gonna call the police. Let the police sort that out, Now the cops come, they thinking bank robbery, they automatically, all these cops they already scary, bro. They coming with their guns. It ain't nothing to do. 9 times out of 10 with cops, it's nothing to do with race. It's fear. They fear the black man, bro. That's common sense. They fear us. They coming with their guns drawn, bro, because they see the shit that happens. They see, the the shootings and the ass whippings that's going on social media. So they're gonna come with their guns cocked, you know. Now, if the older white man, they wouldn't have reacted the same. They wouldn't have reacted the same. That's my opinion, you know. And that's just something we're gonna have to deal with, because that's our people. That goes back to our culture, the music industry. These guys carrying guns, they flashing guns. So we're gonna have to take the heat for some ignorant fools that like to be in gangbangs, because the cops don't know me from a gangbanger. I could be a gangbanger to them. You know, that's the first thing they're gonna see, because they fear that black man, you know. So, and then they see an elderly white guy, well, he's okay, but little be known, the elderly white guy might be the one that shoot him or kill him, you know. So it's bad situation, and it's going backwards. I don't care what they say, bro. It's going backwards, and hopefully, you know, this clown don't get elected in 2024, or things start going back in the right direction.
Racism today, man. You brought up some good points. You're a little bit older than us. You done had some experiences that some of us may not have had. And Kabiz brought up a good point. So did you, K-Dog, with the difference between racism and prejudice. When you bring race into the factor, it's specifically a belief that one race is superior to another. I think some people do get that mixed up with prejudice. Prejudice is just prejudging, and it's not equated to race. It could be prejudging fat people. It could be prejudging short people. It could be prejudging people from the South, like Abi said about the Cajun culture, or you could be prejudging people from the North. Bible told us, or prejudging. That's a different scenario. Now, prejudice can be exhibited by a racist person, right? They prejudging a specific person and think that they will do things or have traits that are equated to all of that specific race. They're prejudging. But in the instance of the kid that was in Houma, Louisiana, as Doc put, at the high school that I went to, this young kid was definitely racist, because of the simple fact that had this been done to the same race, it would have just been seen as a bullying incident, right? If I go and hit somebody in the back of the head with a belt that's black, then I'm just bullying him. I'm hitting him because I want to hit him. I'm just being an asshole. I'm being a bully. But because he walked over to that young man, threw cotton at him, and the specific words and details are starting to come out, it was said to have been a TikTok bet or something that they had been doing, saying Black History Month was over, now get back to work. So they threw the cotton balls and began to whip this young man while saying, your month is over, get back to work, while saying that. And the young man got hit a couple of times before he actually stood up and retaliated or reacted to defend himself. And that being in and of itself a racist incident, because if it would have occurred between two individuals of the same race, it wouldn't have been seen the same way. Now, on to the incident in Georgia. This was impacted by two individuals of the same race. Now, the question being, was it a racist event? Was that situation racist? I think there was some prejudice involved in it, and we all can be found guilty of prejudice, prejudging individuals based not on the experience that we've had with that particular individual. So she might have had a bad experience with other blacks coming into the bank. She might have had a bad experience with somebody, who knows, somebody handed a note before and she had a bad experience. Who knows? There was some prejudice, I think, and some overreacting that was involved. Could things have been done differently by both parties? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we can all take that and keep it in our mind frame as a learning experience. you held to a higher standard in certain situations. Kabis, you said this yourself. You go in there, you make a deposit, man. You want to be discreet. There's ways to go about it. You go to the bank teller, you don't want nobody to see how much money you withdrawing, ask to speak to a manager. There's certain environments where you have to adapt to the form of etiquette that's involved. No issues with them having a red flag pop up. But as far as the man getting handcuffed and guns drawn on him, I don't think what he did warranted that. Now, was it an overreaction by the teller? Was it an overreaction by the police? Would that reaction have been the same if Doc put, had it been an old white man that wanted to be discreet and handed that note? All of these factors come about, and we're having this conversation for the simple fact that there is still racism in America. That ain't going nowhere, as we all have put and we all have reiterated in each of our discussions about it. We don't need to beat that horse. The horse that we need to beat is, where are they headed? Is it going to be better in 10 years? Is it going to be worse than it is today in 10 years? We can only speak on the experiences that we've had. And my personal experience, race relations as a whole, and what I've seen in my lifetime, they aren't getting better. They're going the opposite direction. In my lifetime, you haven't seen protests go on around the country that you've seen in just this past year, 2020, when they were protesting in every major city in America behind police shootings, behind unjustified police shootings, and them not being found guilty for certain. And they were sparked by the incident that happened. Like the Bowling Point was the incident that happened with Big Floyd from shout out to H-Town, Big Floyd, SUC affiliate, that died in Minnesota by the hands of a police officer, or the knee, I should say, of a police officer. So are race relations going in the right direction? I don't see it that way. I see a whole new generation now adopting these same practices that their parents or the parents before them had. It's more, I think now it's more readily opportunity. It's more opportunities for blacks. That can't be denied. We have more ways to overcome racism, I think, in this day and age, but we still are experiencing it. So I think it's our duty. I think it's each and every person's responsibility to help change occur within themselves, within their household, within the people that they touch on a daily basis, to try to subside the racism that goes on. It starts with you. It starts with the person that you look at in the mirror every day. And work on yourself, work on the people around you, how you treat them, and maybe this thing can be changed. Because I guarantee you this, that little kid who was doing what he did for a laugh, thinking that it would have got him some views on TikTok, he was prompted to do that inside, internally, and finally acted out on it. He might have been he might have been dared externally by different factors, but internally something told him that this is okay. This is something that I can do for a laugh. And it's not right at all. It's not right at all. So where did that mind frame twist? Where did that mind frame occur? Does he think that he, being a white person, is superior? Where did that come? Where did that start? Where did that come about? Treat others as you would want to be treated. The golden rule, the way it was taught from the beginning. The first rule, treat others the way you want to be treated, and it'll be a better place. Plowboy, thank y'all for touching on that. This is a deep topic. This is something that we could probably talk about for hours upon hours, man. And I just like to give a shout out. Our Black History Month was last month, and we in March now. But I'd like to give a shout out for all the martyrs of the civil rights movement and going back before that fought in the Civil War for our freedoms that we have today. And let's keep the peace, and let's continue to enjoy these freedoms that we have today without this racism that keeps showing its ugly head.
When the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, glory, glory, oh, glory, glory. Now the war is not over. Victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish. And then when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh.
Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald ego.